Welcome back to the Bluegrass this beautiful June afternoon. I'm out with Ryder. Ryder is an adolescent Dutch Shepherd Malinois cross, and Irene is an adolescent German Shepherd. Irene is quite a bit on the under-socialized side. She just got here about 15 or 20 minutes ago, and we just kind of have her out so that you can see the difference between the two dogs. If I let go of Irene's leash right now, she's probably going to get under this table or go up the hill and kind of hide for a little bit because pretty much all of these guard dogs, okay, they start off with a little bit of extra fear. Okay, that's what makes them like guard dogs. That's what makes them protection dogs. They look out into the world and they see threats where other dogs like a Labrador Retriever or a Golden Retriever would not see a threat. Okay, now since we know that, okay, what we have to do is we have to go out of our way to socialize them, okay, so that they realize as much of their potential towards being confident as possible. In other words, we don't want them to guard us against things that do not need to be guarded against. Okay. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this style of German Shepherd, in Eastern Kentucky, you still run up on this style of German Shepherd quite a bit, and they'll refer to it as a German police. Okay, it's got a nice square structure. Sometimes it's kind of got a little bit light on the pigment in terms of its legs and its head. A lot of times it's got a real deep, dark black mask. And these dogs are excellent watchdogs. Okay, they have a very low threshold at which they feel threatened and start to engage in alert barking. Okay, they're not much really from my perspective on the man fighting scale, but as far as looking a little bit intimidating and barking quickly, they do that. Now, let's go. Ryder, on the other hand, he's a cross between a working bloodline Dutch Shepherd and a working bloodline Malinois, and so he has quite a bit more natural drive, and he has quite a bit more natural propensity towards being able to actually engage with a threat in a physical manner, okay? But with both of these dogs, okay, whether you're gonna get one that is really just gonna be a big barker and maybe kind of hackle up and bluff charge people, or maybe get one that would actually engage in a true physical altercation, I think your starting point should be finding a bloodline where the breeder considers producing dogs with a perception of vulnerability as one of their primary goals. Okay, and here's what I mean by that. I have this dog, and I've been handling dogs like this my whole life, but I also have children that come here to my facility all the time. So let's just take an example. Now, this is my daughter, so she's pretty good with dogs, but not every kid that I get down here is good with dogs. Most of them aren't, to be honest with you. And so I need to know if I'm going to have a dog like this out, okay, that he has a natural perception of vulnerability. And here in a minute, I'm going to let my own guard dogs out, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. But now this guy, he's still pretty young. I need to be able to hand him to a child and the child start doing obedience training with him. Okay, Charlotte, go ahead and start walking him. And I need to know that there's not a moment where I get distracted, or not a moment where I get busy, or a moment where I have to go into the kennel and get a piece of equipment, okay, where this child is in danger. Okay. This child in no way can physically control that dog if he chooses for her not to control him. So he has to be okay with the idea that he's going to have to take direction, and he might even have to take a certain amount of physical discipline from that child. Okay, and in no way would I own a dog that had a reaction to being worked with by a child that was in any way dangerous. Okay, that is my bottom line for all dogs that are going to be protection dogs, is that they have to be good with weak people. Okay, so if they can't perceive that a child is not a threat, if they can't perceive that an older person is not a threat, if they can't perceive that a small dog is not a threat, then they are not a candidate for being a protection dog from my perspective, because when you take them out, you are externalizing risk onto other community members, and that's not fair. Okay? It's not fair for you to consider your safety as being more important than the safety of children in your environment. Okay? So now that it's really hot out here, that dog has worked a lot this morning. We've had a lot of people here, and so I knew he was kind of tired and wanted to go lay down in the air conditioner, but I'm making him work with Charlotte anyway, because I want to 100% ensure that as he gets older, he's good with children, because his owners just brought a baby into their environment. Okay, so like right here, that dog does not want to sit. He wants to get through this course. All right, Charlotte, go ahead and make him sit. Okay, and so that dog has to understand that even out here in the sunshine, even when it's hot, even when he doesn't want to, uh, he has to take direction from that child, and he's not allowed in any way to view the child as a threat or to use force to influence the child's behavior, right? And this is super important because he's going to be around a lot of kids for the next, well, for his whole life, right? Because he's got a brand new baby brother at home. Now, another thing that's going on here is that you might be saying, well, Stonnie, I don't have children. Okay, you don't have children, but they're still, you still have community members, and those community members might sometimes have to help you, right? So what if you break your leg and somebody has to help you? If the ambulance comes and somebody has to control your dog, if you're squealing out in pain because your leg is broken, your dog, might think that the EMTs are trying to hurt you, okay? Well, that's where we get back to genetics. And you might say, well, Stonnie, you're a big guy on socialization. Can't I just buy whatever kind of dog and socialize them properly? No, you can't. When we're doing dog training, all we're doing is dog coaching. So all we can do is move the dog in the direction of being the best version of itself that it can be. But if the dog starts off lacking that perception of vulnerability, then you're not going to be able to make up for it. Okay? And I know a lot of people don't talk about that because really, to be honest with you, in the business, the people that know about protection dogs, they oftentimes have a little bit of a different perspective on how the dog is employed as a tool, and a lot of times they're very dog-centric people. I'm not a dog-centric person. I'm a people-centric person. I do cool stuff, and dogs can tag along while I do cool stuff, but I don't do stuff just for dogs. Okay, Charlotte, go ahead and go up on the kayak and then come over here and we'll finish on the exam table. All right, so look at that. That's all perfect and that's all very nice. And it's a time of day where Charlotte's giving that dog some treats, but he doesn't really care about the treats, and she has a leash and collar on him, but honestly, she couldn't control him if he wasn't willing to be controlled. And those are the kind of intangible things that I feel like a lot of people don't consider when they're considering buying a dog. They ask breeders if they're ethical. They ask them about eye tests and elbow tests and hip tests and things like that. But they miss a lot of the important questions because people don't know what they don't know, and even most dog breeders don't know what they don't know because they don't live with dogs the same way I do. Shall I go ahead and put him on the exam table so I can come over and examine him? Okay. But what I want to know when I go to buy a dog like this, of course I want him to be healthy from a physical standpoint, but I want to make sure that he's healthy from a mental standpoint. And being healthy from a mental standpoint starts and ends with the ability to discern friend from foe. Okay? If this dog can't handle people making a mistake, okay, then it's a liability, and you cannot externalize that type of risk onto other community members. So watch this. You'll see people do this all the time, and German Shepherds, Dutch Shepherds, and Malinois are notorious. And I know a girl that got her whole face crushed because she did this. Now, is this a good idea to do to dogs? Is this a good idea to go up to somebody else's dogs? No, of course not, okay? But I know that things like that are going to happen, and I'm not going to take a dog out into public that can't handle that kind of mistake, right? If that dog, come here, Charlotte. If some little girl like Charlotte knows better, okay, but not every girl knows what Charlotte knows. If some little girl comes out and she touches him, she grabs his ear, some toddler pulls on his ear a little bit, okay, maybe even pokes him in the eye, I need this dog to understand that this vulnerable thing is not a threat. And even though the vulnerable thing is doing something that's uncomfortable, doing something that's unfair, or maybe even doing something that's out and out mean, you still can't attack them, okay? So tell me what you think. Do you believe that all protection dogs should have a genetic propensity towards recognizing vulnerability or not? Post your thoughts in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say.